Hi, it's MJ. Welcome to the MJ Meet Sports podcast. You can't see it, but I'm jumping for joy right now. Can you hear me? Jumping?
On today's episode, it's our series premiere. Today we're talking about Colin Kaepernick.
And I ask co-host Edwin, who is a sports expert and enthusiast, all about him. Who is Colin and what is a Kaepernick exactly? We'll discuss his team and his position. Then we'll, of course, go into the taking of a stand, or rather a knee, that he's doing to protest police brutality. And the very calm reaction the world had.
And finally, we're going to cover the ad from Nike, the iconic sports apparel company. It creates an ad congratulating Colin's protest.
That's it, and all that and more. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our podcast. Thank you for listening to our series premiere. I'm MJ.
And I'm Edwin.
This is exciting.
This is very exciting.
This is really happening.
After
having these great intellectual conversations.
Like almost every other night.
Literally, going for hours. Yeah. It just proved how much I don't know about sports anyway. I'm very good into the word, but God has said nothing about football. I looked. Not even in Revelation.
I don't know. I think I saw something in Proverbs one time.
That's right. He said the wisdom of many. Right. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm definitely a sports novice here. E-Rod, as we affectionately call him. He is the sports expert and enthusiast. He knows all things about all sports. And we'll also be talking about the politics of sports and, more importantly, its impact on our culture.
Huge impact.
Right, it happens everywhere. Yeah. It's affecting everything. Because I think I was the only one who didn't know of a Kaepernick existed until, he did this. So let's, I was off on my own. I had no idea who he was. Still don't. But if he came up now, I would know who he is. And I would say, oh, you're standing now. Sorry, too soon. Too soon. So we're beginning, of course, with the basics. Like, who is Colin Kaepernick? What team does he play for? What position does he play? These things I need to know. And so do any other sports novices listening.
Right. Well, Colin Kaepernick is, now he's a free agent because he used to play.
Is that a fancy way of saying unemployed?
Is that for an athlete?
Oh, okay, for an athlete. He's unemployed.
Right. And he used to play for the 49ers. He was playing for them since 2011. And then in 2016, he opted to not renew his contract.
He opted. I love these political ways of...
No, and that was the same year where he caused a frenzy in the sports world and in the political world. That's when he took the knee.
That's crazy. So before he took the knee, and before he was a free agent, quote, unemployed, he was playing the sport. He was a quarterback.
He was a quarterback. Yeah.
See, I knew that one. Yeah. That's one. If it's a drinking game, you take a shot every time I know something.
Here we just have to read a Bible verse.
Yes, right, exactly, yeah. And I didn't say what to drink, people. So let me say, a pastor said to drink. You can drink water or Sprite, a shot of OJ. Not a shot at OJ, a drink orange juice. Oh. He has ruined orange juice for us. So was he a good quarterback or?
Yeah.
Okay, he was good.
Well, because he was very well known when he was a college football player.
Wow. Which college did he go to?
This is why I have it right here.
See, this is what I'm talking about, man.
So he went to Nevada.
Really?
Yeah, and after he graduated, he was drafted by the 49ers.
Wow.
And he was a reserve player. He was the backup quarterback.
Okay.
And then in 2012, the quarterback that he was behind got injured, so they brought on Colin.
And Colin had nothing to do with that guy's injury?
No.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
No. And
there's always suspicions.
Yeah, and Colin killed it.
Wow.
He was really... he was helping the team perform in a kind of way that only a quarterback can really do that.
Yeah. I do find that they sense to control the mood of the team and the effectiveness of the team.
Yeah.
Well, so if they're off, everyone's off.
Well, because you're not just the leader, you're also like the mental cog in the whole team.
That's crazy.
And you're setting up the plays. You know, you're the one who's saying.
So you do that, not the coach.
Well, the coach will call you over if he feels like something should be done.
But when you're override.
Yeah.
But you're making the play.
Yeah. That's why they huddle.
Jeez. Right.
You know, and
see, now this is making sense. I think they're like, man, that last play, you sucked. Don't do that again.
Right.
You're a very effective player. I don't know what I did.
Yeah, and
no one does.
when they're in that position of like he has the football, or he's waiting for the person in front of him to throw him the football,
right?
And he's saying 2-4-2, you know.
Yes, I'm like, what the flip are they saying? And they skip 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right. That's code for the play that they're about to do.
So when I see those little diagrams of the plays, like when you guys are playing video games and don't have it, that one of the diagrams would be called 2 hut 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
So everybody knows where to scramble and go to.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
So,
but they don't need to put it in code. The other team wouldn't know it anyway. That's it. What we practice today at 5:00. But doesn't sound as cool.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if they say, "Oh, let's do a Hail Mary," which is like one wide receiver is going to go run all the way down to the end zone, someone's going to follow that player.
Oh, because they know that term.
Yeah.
I see.
So,
well, that's silly. So then why do we give it see, these are my whys. So why do we give it a name like, why is there a common name to plays if the team shouldn't know, if the opposing team shouldn't know what that play is going to be? Why even give it a name? Someone's Hail Mary could be someone else's bed skirt.
Right.
You know? That would be something if they yelled Hail Mary and it's code for hut 2-4-2. Couldn't they do that? Did I just improve the football?
Oh my god.
Did I? Man. Head blown. When that happens, we need something. Hold on. We need this whenever I do that. Yeah, see? I just made the game better.
And enlightened.
Yes. I'm very humble with my abilities.
Right. So
this is because he killed it. Continue.
Right. So that season that he came on for the injured quarterback,
right, it
was the 49ers' first time going to the Super Bowl since 1994.
What?
Right.
And this was in what year? 2012?
2012. Yeah.
Wow.
So he came on and he just changed the whole thing.
He was their Tom Brady.
Yeah.
See, I knew that one too. Yeah. So take another shot, people. Read another verse.
And although they didn't win that Super Bowl,
who'd they play in that game? Was that against Tom Brady? Or are they in? Because I know they're not in the same division. Because that's something I've learned, that the West Coast is not at the East Coast. Because I knew geography. Because I'm good that way.
No, that's.
I forget
who they played.
But they did lose. The important part is that they remembered that they lost. That's key. So at that moment, he said, you know what? His inner monologue was, I'm a loser. I should really get better.
No, I mean,
did he get better in 2013 and win?
Well, actually, after that season, he was declared the starter quarterback.
Wow.
Which means he became the number one. You know?
So does that mean that the existing quarterback who was star becomes backup?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's gotta suck.
Yeah, that's
awkward.
That's sports culture.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you just stay on with, I'm assuming, your salary. You didn't, because you're still within your contract.
Yeah. So
you're still getting paid as a star.
Right.
So the team itself, the people who paid the paychecks don't care because nothing increased. The guy got a promotion, no raise, and the dude got a demotion, no raise.
Right.
Wow. So, okay.
I mean, they probably did offer him a bit more money, you know, because what happens is when you play really well, other teams want you.
Oh, and they can recruit you mid-season or for the following season?
For the following season.
And they start bugging you already.
Yeah.
So emails or text messages. Little lovey-doveys. I love you. Yeah. Do you love me? Circle yes or no. Yes, exactly.
No, but...
That's powerful.
Yeah, so to retain their players, they're like, oh, we're going to pay you more. We'll offer you a new contract with a higher... Wow. With a raise, you know.
Jeez.
So,
and it's probably going to surpass what the star player was paid, unless the star player was getting ridiculous. They're not going to do that. So now they are out more money. Wow.
Yeah. So in 2013, he became the starter. And he helped the 49ers to the NFC Championship game, which is like the thing before the Super Bowl.
Is that when the 4 conferences are battling it out? Like the best of each of those conferences, or
no,
is
this is when the NFC is battling the AFC champions.
Okay,
You know,
so the North battling. Who's AFC? So now I'm confused because the conferences I thought were North, South, West, and East.
no. North, South, West, and East are within the conferences. The NFC, the AFC. So the NFC is how do you call it? So there's the NFC,
right,
and then there's the AFC, and each of those sections have teams in them, but the teams belong to North, South, East, or West.
So in the AFC, you could have a West Coast team and an East Coast team in the same conference, even though they're in different. So what's the other things called again? They're not called conferences.
No, they're just called divisions.
Divisions.
Yeah.
So there's 4 divisions, 2 conferences. This is good. Already my mind's blown. So, and in the division, again, you can have multiple conferences. And so yes, who decides who's in the? Because that means no one within the AFC division can go to Super Bowl, play into another AFC division player or team.
All right, so
right.
So the general breakdown is the AFC is the American Football Conference.
So they're the best because they're America. Go ahead.
No, and so they have the AFC East, the AFC West, the AFC North, and the AFC South. All those 4 components fall under the American Football Conference.
Gotcha.
Right? So those teams are AFC teams.
Gotcha.
Okay, and then there's the...
And that's exactly half of those.
So there are 5 teams in each section.
Oh, so that's going to be an overlap. So go ahead.
And then there's the National Football Conference, which is the NFC.
All right.
And just like the AFC, they have East, West, North, South.
And they also have 5 teams on each of those.
Yeah.
So they have 5, the other one has 5. Gotcha. So now the game before the Super Bowl is the best of the NFC battling each other.
So the NFC Championship
right.
is the 2 best teams in the NFC.
Right. So NFC team battling another NFC team to see which NFC team we send to the bowl.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That makes sense. And then AFC Championship has theirs as well.
Exactly.
So, and people are cool with this, the way this is set up, because you can never now have 2 NFC teams playing the Super Bowl.
Well,
so it kind of sucks.
It's a common trend in big American sports,
right?
You know, because they do this in Major League Soccer. The team from the East and the team from the West go to the Cup.
Right.
They do that in the NBA. The team from the East, the team from the West.
Wow.
So it's just like to see like which region is the top dog.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I just would love to see. I think they should just change it. There it is. You know, MJ has said his 2 cents. I carry so much weight in the sports world, so they're going to change it now.
They might, yeah.
Yeah, because you want to see, like, sometimes you're like, wow, that game was so good. That AFC Championship game was so good. That should have been a Super Bowl.
I mean, actually, those are sometimes the best games.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So that should be the Super Bowl. Because the Super... Oh, my voice is... But the Super Bowl then becomes not as cool as the NFC or the AFC game, and then it's more commercialized because that's just where all the the 30-second and $30 million ad campaigns go to. That's interesting,
right? But if you lose the Super Bowl, at least you're still the champion of your region.
Ah, that's true.
You know,
so I'm a loser superly, but I am a regional winner.
Champion, yeah.
I'm a champion. I'm a champion loser, baby. All right, kind of ring you get for that. And then that's when they say, I'm going to Disney World. All right, then they buy Disney and everything else. That makes sense. So then in 2013, he still got them to the championships. He didn't quite get them to the bowl like he did before because other players crapped out on him.
Right.
Okay. And he later fired them. to say y'all are bringing me down. I mean, the first year I mean,
because after the 2013 season, excuse me, they didn't make it back to the championship. I don't even think they made it back to the playoffs.
Really?
Which is like the games that they play before they go to the championship.
Gotcha. So there's playoffs, championships, then the bowl. Okay. Unbelievable. So he progressively got worse.
He didn't get worse.
Or the team's stats of making it to the end became less each year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because every year...
I don't have the haters coming at me now. I'm just stating objective novice stuff. I'm not saying anything about the person.
Well, yeah, because after a season is over,
right, a
team can change dramatically.
Wow.
Like, because they have the NFL draft.
Right.
Which is, excuse me, I have hiccups now.
The podcast made him nervous, people. It's only a serious premiere, don't worry.
No, where all the teams can decide like what players they want.
Right.
You know, so.
Because now it's all up for grabs again.
Right.
Every year.
And the thing that happens is that, say a team doesn't make it to the playoffs, right, they finish really low in the standings. Right. That team is given priority in the draft. Like, they can have first pick.
They can. Oh, so the worst team gets the best player. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's kind of wow.
It's a nice twist.
Yeah, it is, because it's a little strategic, because that keeps the best teams from getting better all the time.
Yeah.
And because people want to see the fun of it, you know. Okay, that is interesting. I mean, it's a little unfair, but hey, it's a game. And now not everyone is put up every year, because you have a contract. So I'm stuck for the however years. So the draft is only the free agents and new people who are literally drafted into the sport, or just the new people who are drafted into the sport and free agents is another thing.
Yeah, it can either be players who are free agents, right? College players who are just coming out of college, and also players who are like near the end of their contract, or maybe they finished like their first year, right? And I don't know, they didn't like the team that they were playing on. They want to switch teams.
What? You know, that can happen. That's in your contract.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you're a player, but you're also like,
that's not right.
You're also able to negotiate if you get like an offer that entices you or something.
So contracts mean nothing.
No, they do mean something.
If you're blow your knee out, then the contract means something. But if everyone's healthy, the contracts mean nothing. Because I'm signed for $100 million with the Patriots, because I'm that good. But then the 49ers, who haven't made it to Super Bowl since he got worse, or the team got worse, or whatever happened got worse, and they want me because I'm so good. And now they offer me $101 million, because then I go right to them, so it didn't make any sense.
No, because
it's not fair.
Because the players do value the contract. You know, they're not just taking the biggest paycheck that they see.
Okay.
You know,
so there's more love.
Like, teams can come and be like, "Oh, I want that player," you know.
Right.
But the player is in full control of how that play goes down.
Wow.
You know, they can be, no, I'm not looking at any offers right now.
Right.
I want to honor my contract. You know.
Wow.
But if someone had a really bad season,
right,
and they're just like, man, I don't want to be in New England anymore. Like, I want to be back in Miami, you know, with the Dolphins.
Right.
So,
but then But then free agents, I thought that was what their perk was. They got to go anywhere. But any player can get to go anywhere. So there's really no difference in the free agents other than they participate in the draft.
I mean, the free agent is just that their contract ran out.
Right.
Like, they fulfilled their whole 3-year, 4-year contract or whatever.
That's the only difference.
Yeah.
But every player in terms of moving and mobility can do the same. So then Colin goes rogue.
Right.
He started great. His efforts, we'll just say it that way. I'm trying to be the nicest way, because I don't know about the game yet, to be throwing light at people. But I don't throw shade out there with light. Amen. Glory. So his efforts became less and less they've produced less and less each year.
Yeah.
And then what happened in 2013 or 14?
No, so from 2013 to 2016, he was marred by injuries.
Sheesh.
You know, they weren't like severe injuries, but they definitely affected his playing time.
That was probably the benched quarterback that he took over probably hurt him. Has he filed charges?
No, I don't think so.
I suspect him. What's the guy's name who got benched?
No, I don't, because it changed after.
I think it was him.
No,
or if he gets benched, he goes to another team. Because I wouldn't go from star player to bench. I'm leaving.
Exactly.
Wow.
So
he got hurt anyway. He got hurt in his legs or his arm, like he couldn't throw. Mm-hmm. Wow. What was he doing?
No, I mean, these are like off-season injuries. So, like, maybe you're training, like, and you get injured, you know? Or, I mean, it can really...
train better. Shouldn't you train? You should, at that level, you train better. Clearly, he shouldn't have been training the way he was before he got chosen to be the star quarterback.
No, I mean...
He was training the same way, you know, these kids, Tyrone and them, were training, hurting themselves.
No, I mean, because it happens in the most, like, mysterious ways, like literally maybe you just didn't stretch long enough, so you're like sprinting and you pull your calf muscle, you know, or
that sucks.
Or as you're jumping up in the air and you fall, and when you land, your hamstring just gets torn.
Jeez Louise.
You know, it's like stuff like that.
So
like,
it just got,
it's stuff that you can't predict.
Right. He should have been more careful, but at the same time, it's silly things.
Yeah.
And no one's going to be able to be the perfect player.
Yeah, exactly.
Except Tom Brady.
Yeah,
not everyone could be Tom Brady and all that. So then he got worse and worse and worse from 2013 to 2016 because of injuries. Mm-hmm. And then he was benched.
Right.
Because the injuries are that bad. Mm-hmm. Someone else started him.
Yeah.
Now as the new star player. And before he got a chance to sabotage them, the way he was sabotaged, he then did whatever he did, which we'll talk about next, because that's going to be crazy, because this is where it all goes down, people.
Right, and this...
Because he was injured and everything.
Yeah.
So, which is interesting that he took a knee. Because if you're injured, you need to sit down. Maybe that's how you injured yourself. Goodness, you know, I'm just thinking maybe that could be what it is. So we're going to take a deep break, a brief break, and we're always giving you stuff, people. So even in our break, we ain't going away. We're going to give you some news, sports news. So I'm going to be paying attention. I'm going to be taking notes, because I gotta know. And then when we do that, we'll come back and then we'll discuss Colin Kaepernick taking a stand, knee, and figuring out what the heck caused such a calm and beautiful and caring and endearing response from other fellow Americans all around the world.
The only way Americans know how to respond.
Right, exactly. We have one way, baby. All right, it's time for our break. We'll be right back. Woo!
So, week 3 in NFL is set to kick off. Games you don't want to miss are Colts versus Eagles, Redskins versus Packers, and the Patriots versus the Lions. The Colts are looking to climb their way up in the standings, but have yet to get past last year's champions to do so. Both the Redskins and Packers are off to a good start this season, and they'll be looking to continue that form on Sunday when they come face-to-face at FedEx Field. And for my New Englanders out there, the Patriots take on the Lions in an interesting game where the Patriots will be looking to continue their good starts to the season. The Lions, however, will be hoping to pick up the pace after losing their first game, which means they'll be looking to go on the offensive, which could prove dangerous to a shaky past defensive line, which hasn't really been convincing so far. That's your weekly news.
We're now at Colin Kaepernick takes the famous stand because he realized in 2016, that's when he did it, right? Or 2017? 2016, during the presidential run and election that was between two candidates, Hillary Clinton and President now Donald Trump. And they're running for president, so they got to be on their P's and Q's, except for the Trump Meister, as we call him. And he takes the knee because at this moment, he's been marred by injury. Right. His team is sucking. They're leaving him to the wind. They're bouncing his paychecks. All these bad things are happening. He's pissed off at the star player who sabotaged him to begin with. All right? He's on the bench. And he begins to look around and go, you know what? I'm going to talk about black people. You know what I'm saying? Black people get shot. And this is sad. And I now care about it. And I'm going to take a knee. Right. He takes the knee. And then what? What made him take the knee?
Well, I mean, as he stated, he wanted to take the knee because he didn't feel that not only the black community, but communities of color,
right,
in the country that we're in right now and during that time,
right,
which is what he believes,
right,
these communities of color, especially black people, were not being served and treated in the way that I guess the Constitution says that we should all be treated, which is equally. Right?
That's true.
So his way of protesting police brutality in particular was by taking a knee during the national anthem.
All right, so let's unpack this. So the police brutality is the white police officers, I'm assuming, or any non-colored
I guess
police.
to add a bit of context, in 2016, there was a significant rise in white police officers killing black people.
Gotcha.
Right? Like, it was every day in the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a bad year. I stayed inside. So I'm not going out there. Not tricking me into going to work. I kid to laugh to keep from crying. Didn't I say I'm irreverent? So there it is. Not a reverend. I'm irreverent. Mm-hmm. But so that was going on in the news. It was getting crazy. It was ridiculous. And he said they should be treated better. Yeah. And I'm a protest. Oh, so we should explain. So the police brutality, that part I caught on to. Right. They would be on video. They were being brought to court. And then 12 white people, I'm assuming, said, actually not so bad. That black should have got shot. Yeah. Yeah, he was walking too slow. Or he was in the wrong place. Or he grabbed a gun. Or whatever they came up with. But I'm assuming it was the cases where we knew, did Florida kid, is that the year that happened? When he was just walking in his gated community and the off-duty security guard shot him?
Probably.
I forgot his name, and I really feel bad because I forgot his name now. But it was that Trayvon Martin. That was 2016.
Trayvon Martin.
Thank you. What did I say? Trayvon? I'm messing up the dude's name. Rest in peace. But it was that cases like that is what got him angry. Not the cases where they found out, well, that guy actually did commit a crime. He was reaching for the gun. He had to get killed. People were not saying that was bad. We're saying the actual bad cases, they were brought to court and then they would be let off. And while the whole court was happening or before charges were present, they would be put off the force, pending investigation, but still getting paid. Yeah. So that just smacked of injustice.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a smack in the face.
Right.
You know, because...
Or a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
You know, it's really what it is. I mean, I'm not, it's always in the dark.
Yeah.
You know, a few times it was in a day, but they're not normally that blatant.
Right.
So he was angry against the injustice. And so he said, so we're at a football game and they have the national anthem playing and I'm going to protest the police, not the police brutality, but the response to the police brutality.
Well, yeah, actually, yeah.
Okay. So here's where I want to always break it down, and that's why I'm getting into what this is and how it related to sports, because obviously this is a sports podcast.
Right.
But this interplayed with it all, because he's doing it during the sports game, during championship games, he's not making it to championship, but
just
during the regular games. Yeah. So here's the thing. See, I'm just realizing that, he wasn't even this. Guys, ain't two people watching these non-important games anyway. Wow, Americans, we need something to do.
I mean, football is huge here. So even if this is just like a regular game, still you have like tens of thousands of people at the stadium.
That's true.
And more than tens of thousands watching on TV.
Wow.
And
including the president.
Right, and since he's a well-known football player,
and at that time he was.
Right, because after the 2012 season when they went to the Super Bowl,
right,
I mean, he was just all over the place.
Gotcha.
You know, because people were like, oh, is he going to come back from injury? Like, is he going to bring the 49ers back to that quality playing style?
Wow.
So all eyes were on him.
Wow. And so all the fans were hoping he would recover, and he couldn't even recover, let alone bring them to any kind of game. I'm not throwing shade people, throwing light. I find it comically hilarious that this is happening. So then he says, well, let's go ahead and protest the response to this. So we break down the response, because I'm a practical dude. Some people think I'm insensitive. I'm truly not insensitive. I'm just what they call a bottom line guy. I am a regular Joe. I need 1 + 1 = 2.
Right.
So I like to break it down. Do not question my questions, listeners, as me already having a forethought to that. But the question becomes, if he was protesting the response to the police officers being taken to court and having their day in court, which is constitutional, you know, everyone's innocent,
right,
even if it's on video. Innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
But his protest then, for that to happen, would be 12 jurors in each of these cases let him and us and justice down. So where's the response? So how does taking a knee at the anthem during a football game of Oh, there we go. We had a little technical difficulty. So how does him taking a knee at that non-championship game of the anthem say I'm mad at the 12 jurors in the cases where police are brought to court?
No, it's not. It's not the jurors. Because, I mean, we both got our BAs in criminology.
Yes, we did.
Fun fact.
Tell it down. Fun fact. Yes, take another shot or read another scripture.
And as we both know, when something like that happens, like when a police officer shoots a citizen,
right,
the case could take years.
That's true.
The investigation could take a year,
At
then
least.
after the investigation, you have to file the paperwork and whatever, and then after you do that, you have to find witnesses. You know, it's a
long thing. It's not like it was on TV, people.
Exactly.
It doesn't happen on Friday. By next Friday, they're
exactly
not guilty or guilty. Yeah,
So, like, these police departments would suspend the officer at most while they're still getting paid. You know,
cut their money.
That can be very frustrating if you are a black person.
Yes.
You know, and you see another black person get shot.
When you see the footage.
Right, exactly. I mean, I remember this kid. He was... I forget what item he was carrying. It was some sort of stick or something. But the officer thought it was a gun.
You thought a stick was a gun?
I think it was a phone. Yeah, I think he was carrying a phone. And then the officer thought it was a gun, so he just shot him.
You know those iPhone rifles are always getting people killed. How in the world does an iPhone look like a gun?
Exactly. And the other thing is, like, it's a kid. Like, the kid must have not been, like, more than 12 years old.
Wow.
So how does, in your brain, how do you process as, first, the phone is a gun.
Right.
And two, this child is carrying a gun.
Right.
You know?
A 12-year-old snipped from the world.
Exactly.
Because he had the audacity to have a phone.
Exactly. So...
Wow.
So that case alone is going to take years to process, to even get into a court.
If it gets to the court.
If it gets into the court, right. Because if you don't find enough evidence, they just throw it out.
Right. They say not enough evidence to bring the charges forth. So as a matter of law, no charges are brought, and the person goes on their way and probably joins back to the force.
Exactly, yeah, and the police officer just keeps patrol.
Right.
You know?
Hopefully better patrol. Hopefully, with glasses. You at least give, PD glasses.
I mean, you don't need glasses. You have to have 24, what is it, 24?
20/20 vision?
20/20 vision.
And he still couldn't see that a phone's not a gun. So this angered the black...
Well,
all
cases like
really.
these
Right.
angered the black community.
Right.
Right.
And it really should anger everyone.
No. Well, when I say the black community, you know, it's like they were angered the most by it.
Right.
But obviously other people...
Because it's us getting shot.
Right, other people came out in support and to protest the police brutality. So when Kaepernick took the knee,
right,
it wasn't like, oh, I'm frustrated because you know the jurors didn't do their job,
right,
it's more so like I'm frustrated that in the first place this is happening,
right,
and second that when it happens, something is not done about it right away.
Right.
Even
so there's not a fast enough response.
Right. But even though this is now becoming a pattern.
Right. Right.
You know?
So if there's not, see now, I would question nothing's happening. It is something's happening. It's just the slowness of the process, as we know, because we went to school for that.
Right.
How long it takes. And an investigation first has to take place within the police company themselves.
Yeah.
They look at it with internal affairs and all that to review the case. And so he's mad at the process that while this is happening, while this is being investigated, you're getting paid. Yeah. So I'm mad at the way the police departments of these potential criminals are being paid by citizens, the same citizens getting shot, are bad and ineffective and smacks in the face of justice.
Yeah.
And so he's mad at the police department's response and handling of it before it even gets to the court. So what did he want the response from the police departments to be before it gets taken to court?
Well, you said he was mad at the police.
Right.
But I would go as far as saying he was mad at the criminal justice system as a whole because there's history here, you know, like in 1995 when Rodney King was beat down on the highway. Right. Like, that was a case. And it's like, oh, man, that was the 90s, though. It's like, all right, well...
that was the thing. That was a trend, man.
No.
What he's mad about?
But it's like, there is a history of people of color, in particular blacks, getting just beat up or killed by police. You know, especially like and that, I mean, I guess the biggest example of that is during like the civil rights era, where they were literally just hosing people down,
and that also got publicized. So he's angry of history.
Well, so that historically, I think we are told we are growing up in a different world, a more enlightened world, where if something bad happens to you or to anyone else, that person will be taken care of. The person who did the bad thing will be taken care of. Yes. And you know, we don't see color here, you know? Like that was the sort of mentality that I grew up in. Now, only to be in 2016, and there's still race profiling, you know, that kind of stuff, completely contradicts everything that I grew up thinking was true.
And him too, because he's in his 20s. I'm assuming.
So so it's like when you learn about this history, and when you see it happening, and nothing quick is being done about it, whether it's the police departments doing more than just suspending the officer, or the investigation, you know, picking up pace. What's really frustrating about it is that it's just simply happening. You know, like there's a fear. Like, I mean, I'm not black, but I've had black friends.
Y'all can't see him. He is not black, I can tell you. And I am in fact black.
But I have had friends who who are just like, yeah, I don't want to go out tonight.
Really?
Yeah, like
Wow.
when these things were happening,
Right.
you know, or there's a police officer across the street. I feel like we should go another way.
Wow.
Or actually, one of my friends, he's from Cameroon. Okay,
Really?
so he's from Africa,
Wow.
and he came here to study medicine. He's a med student. He was pulled over on several occasions actually by a white police officer when he was driving in DC.
Wow.
And at one point we were talking, and he was just like, "I think. Do you think it's my car? You know, because
Was it a nice car?
No, it was a Toyota Corolla.
New?
No, it was like 2012.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, this is 2012 in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Newish.
I guess. but at the same time, I was like,
so it's like a black guy in a nice car.
No, but also he's only been in this country for 2 years.
Right.
You know, so what I found interesting was that he hasn't really grasped this whole African American thing.
Right.
You know, he still identifies as Cameroonian.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's bringing.
But the white police officer sees him as just another black guy.
Just another black guy.
You know.
And he's a good driver.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he's not, I wonder why every time I go through the red light, they stop me. He's following the traffic laws and still getting stopped.
Yeah. So after that, every time he sees a police car now, I mean, he just goes like 5 miles per hour.
Wow. Which will get you stopped for another reason.
That's what Colin is angry about.
He's angry at that.
Yeah.
Literally. How
the system,
the
history that's repeating itself.
Right.
The fact that more isn't being done. You know, it's just like, it's a suspension. It's almost like a slap on the wrist.
Right.
You know,
we're going to investigate, but it's because all people are considered innocent prior to being proven guilty.
But when you look at the footage,
right,
it's like you just shot this man in front of his kids.
Right. Right. And the law says innocent till proven guilty.
Exactly.
Because you could have sneezed.
Right.
He probably said something bad to the officer, like, "Can you please shoot me?" Or something like that they have to find through the evidence of the video footage that we see on the 11 o'clock news. Right. So he's mad. So he's mad at the Constitution standing in the wake of what he considers obvious evidence.
Yeah.
So he doesn't like that our Constitution says that everyone's innocent until they're proven guilty.
Yeah.
He'd rather say it will be deemed upon each scenario. Okay. That is a bad stance. Just in general, that is a few times when I am making a legal case. It's only because it's legal. Okay, I'm all about the law. Because then it gets spooky. Because then he's handing more power to the very system that he's angry at. If it says you have the ability, the people that are doing the investigation, to determine whether or not this is enough to just convict right now or not, what would that do to the black community? Well, it was pretty obvious when I saw you selling that drug over there that you're guilty. So we're just going to go ahead and now assume that you're guilty, and you are.
No. I don't think he wants to change the system.
So he does want the Constitution changed to not say innocent to proven guilty. But that's what's causing
because the Constitution says we're all created equal. So Colin doesn't want to like explicitly say this is what needs to be changed in the criminal justice system.
Right.
He's saying there should be some sort of acknowledgement that there's something wrong here.
Gotcha. From who?
From that's a good question.
Right.
Because I would assume
right.
Just everyone in general.
Yes, because and the only reason I'm asking this question is because Colin, it's interesting that he's been doing this since 2016, but hasn't given an exhaustive. You would think by this time, especially with the reaction, he spliced up together almost like a demand sheet when you take someone hostage to get the police's attention, and he finally go, "Okay, we'll listen to you. What are your demands?"
Right.
And he has it. You would think he would have that by now. So the questions that I'm having before we even get to the knee and all this, because we all have to hear each other as Americans. That needs to come through. We can't shut other Americans up.
Right.
That's why we're here in this country. You have a voice. So it's like, what are his demand? Because for him to then protest without the demand would be considered reckless, wouldn't it? Because then you got everyone's attention. You brought up, obvious things going on.
Yeah.
And then when they say, okay, great, so we'll give in. Anything get you to play again? What do you want? A DeLorean that goes back in time? I mean, like, what does he want us to do if we can't change? Because I know, and you know, being legalese, we know that the basis of the frustration does come from the Constitution itself, which says you're innocent to proven guilty. So any harsh protocol from the police department when they are investigating a crime can't supersede that. So they can't, or maybe they could, and you could fight it. When we suspend you, it's always without pay. You know, because other jobs, I don't know any other job you get suspended you can pay for. So they could do that in theory, but maybe because of the criminal component, they're obligated. No, we have to actually see you as innocent until we prove it. So we have to remove you from the force, but we have to also pay you. So it seems like his beef would be with the Constitution. It just seems that way from the outside, not hearing his exhaustive demands.
Honestly, I think he was just trying to bring attention to the whole issue.
But wasn't it already attention if it was on the news every day?
No, but it's different for us, I feel, because I feel like especially, you know, I was in an American studies discipline
literally at the time,
where we're constantly talking about cultural issues.
Right.
So for me, it was, of course, you know, it was brought to my attention immediately when it started happening.
Right.
But and you know, as you mentioned, you are black,
right? So I therefore speak for the black community. That is what happens in America.
So it's like,
it's true.
I feel like it's much easier for us to say, oh, it was already, you know, and we already were paying attention.
Yeah,
but
and it was on the news every day.
Yeah,
you know,
but see that brings in things of like. Who is watching the news and what kind of news are you watching? Right. You know, because nowadays with media, you know, as soon as you like a post on Facebook, right, you're going to see similar content from that post every day.
Yes.
Right. So if you're not paying attention to this stuff in the first place,
right,
you're not going to see, you know.
That's true.
So I feel like Colin was trying to bring it attention. Obviously not to the people who were already paying attention to it, but I feel like there was a larger majority that either knew about it, but wasn't giving it the attention that it needs. Where you're like, where you're actually going out to protest it, or you just don't understand why it's happening. You know,
right?
So I don't feel like he was trying to make any demands.
So he had no demands. No. He just wanted more attention to it, to crappy things. No. But now I don't know the demographics of the people that watch, but isn't the black community like the largest percentage of whatever it is that consumer of these sports magazines, sports channels, and all these other things? Because there was something about 80%. There was something about an 80% thing with blacks in the NFL. We're going to look for that on Google. There's power here.
I think...
There's power in the name of Google.
I think what you're thinking about is the percentages of black that play in the NFL.
Okay, that were all the players.
Yeah.
And so the communities of which they come from would be watching the stuff. So he's really talking to the white audience. He thinks the average white NFL viewer doesn't know that Trayvon Martin was killed in Florida from a whacked out security guard who wasn't even on duty, who was told by 911, do not engage. That's who he was talking to.
Yeah, that, and also I would go as far as saying the people in government, you know.
Well, they do watch the game, and they are very aware of what's going on, because that's where it all happens.
Well, they're aware of what's going on,
Yeah.
but the other question is, when you're aware, is that you doing something about it?
That goes back to what does he want done? Because if you want them to be aware, and then they go, okay, great, I'm aware, and he goes, well, no, you're not aware in the way I deem aware, because aware would do something, and then they would shoot back at him if they. By the way, this is only what would happen if they were at both sides were coming together having a civil conversation. Instead, they're just name calling each other. But if they were sitting down, they would shoot back and say, okay, so what is it that you want? Because we have to, wait till the jury. That's where the expression comes from. The jury's out on that. We have to wait for the jury to make sure that Steve gets the electric chair for shooting Tyrone. Because for thinking, if for nothing else, for thinking a phone is a weapon. Now I'm one of the people who actually is a nerd enough to watch the Apple release 2.5 hour conference, the whole thing. Okay. And when they're showing the design, because it's always the newest design, this one's much bigger and better and best of all phones. So much so I thought the script was created by Trump. What would happen is none of the designs that I saw of the XS, XR, X Super Supreme X, YZ phones, Samsung, even the phones that caught fire in people's pockets, none of them look like weapons. So the question would be, what do you want done when someone claims, oh, that was a weapon, and that's why I shot Tyrone in the face 500 times, me and my officer, when he was directly under a lamp and was completely lit, and then we lit him up. And now it's an investigation, and they're out on leave, and they're getting paid because the doggone law says, even though we all saw the footage, we didn't see it all from beginning to end. We just see this piece, and you are considered innocent in the eyes of the law. So the law can't do nothing to you right now because you're innocent to the law. I mean, that seems to be the basic thing that anyone close to Colin would have said to him on day 2 of this big protest. And the fact that he still hasn't made a solution clear or a demand or even what he would expect white politicians around the country to do to prove they're aware. Doesn't that seem irresponsible?
Well, I guess the other question is Colin supposed to do that?
Who? Oh, if he's supposed to, right.
Right. Is he the one who's supposed to make these demands?
I would say no. I would say he shouldn't. Because I would say, why protest without that? Yeah, you're the wrong protester. Because he's protesting wrong. As someone who, because I'm in the black community, was very close to the history of MLK. I mean, you don't get more iconic than that in the black community, MLK Jr. And his protests, they're still legendary, the protests. Because it wasn't a knee, it wasn't a foot, it wasn't a stand, it wasn't sit down. It was, oh, this injustice is happening there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be sent to that city, which is away from Atlanta. I'm going to immerse myself in the community through the churches, because that was his connection. He was a minister. I'm going to give sermons to the local congregations about the injustice happening. I'm going to create an idea of what we need to do and a result that if it occurs, we know we were successful or not. So a particular law needs to change. That's really what I think 99.9% of the time it was. He wanted a law to change very locally or to be enforced locally. Right. And so he would have classes on how to protest. They would then train people how to protest. Then once they were trained, then they would go out and they would go to the very institution that they were protesting. So if it's the police, they go to the front of the sheriff's department or the police department and just stand there, making a scene. Because now they can't enter in and out and all that. They finally say, yes, dude, We've been here for 4 days, marching in with signs of dogs shouldn't bite people and hoses shouldn't be turned on us. What do you want us to do? We want you to stop sicking your dogs on us. We want you to stop putting the hoses in our face. And we want you to make sure that this so-and-so person can vote at that particular voting place because the law says we can vote. And you need to make sure that you get rid of these question-answer things to eliminate the ability of us to vote or whatever. But then it would happen. Then he'd go to the next place and the next. And then he would get shot. So he protested and he gave up a promising career in the North to go back to the entrenched racist South and made the protest. So it seemed when I heard about, all I knew of Colin was Colin Kaepernick protest. I go, so what's he protesting and what's the thing? And I couldn't find answers. So it just seems like, no, he shouldn't be the one to be protesting since he's not protesting correctly. At least it sounds like that because I have not been able to find anyone's coherent list of what he wants done other than, and the only thing he could want done would be a change to the Constitution is what I'm thinking.
So you're saying that there is a standard correct way of protesting?
Yes, to have something to get done, because otherwise how do you gauge the effectiveness of a protest? And then what makes it a protest? What would be if I said, if I was in the living room and I'm leaning against the couch watching television, and you say, what are you doing? I go, I'm sitting down watching TV. Say, you're actually leaning against the couch. No, I am sitting down watching television. I think sitting down looks like this. They go, no, there's a standard way of sitting down. Now, you can sit down Indian style. You can sit down relaxed. You can sit down with your legs spread, with your legs in, legs crossed. Those are all ways to sit. You, brother, are leaning against the couch and not sitting. So I would say there's not one method to protest, but to protest means you're protesting something to the people that did the wrong with a demand on how they can do it right, and you won't stop protesting until they do that thing.
Right.
So he's not protesting correctly. He needs to not protest. He needs to get healed and play the game and get them back to the Super Bowl and win. Because that will anger the right people that it needs to anger. The truly people who are angry for illegitimate reasons at him would be angered. But everyone else would applaud. Man, he got that going. He got healed up. He got some ointment for his knees. And he played the game, right? Because he's protesting wrong. Is there not a right way to protest?
Well, see, because this was a question I asked my senior year of college, actually. Because I remember, I forget what the whole thing was about, but everyone was talking about how high school students were coming out to protest, and they were walking out of school.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And people were, so there were a lot of people that were outraged. They were like, why are they going out of school? Like their sole job is to be in that school and to take class. Why are they protesting? They have nothing to protest about. Like, they don't know what they're doing.
Lots of protests. There's horrible conditions in school. Teachers aren't getting paid, and therefore they get crap teachers. And no books. But go ahead. But there's nothing for them to protest about.
But
hate that.
But yeah, those people, like, their sole argument was, they have nothing to protest about. They're just high school students.
Right.
Who are they going to represent? They're not even old enough to vote.
Right. Well, some are, because some got held back. So that's how ignorant those people are saying stuff.
So anywho, I was one of those people.
Right. That said they have nothing to protest.
Yeah.
Oh, they have plenty to protest.
I was angry because I was like,
books.
Yeah. No, I was angry because I was like, this is the wrong way to do it.
Right.
Like, if you're gonna protest on a Saturday.
Right. On a Saturday. That's right.
And then I talked to my advisor, and I asked her, I was like, what do you think of that? And she was like, she essentially told me that there is no right way to not just protest, but to show how you feel, you know, like even this thing that people say, you know, silence is an answer. You know, if you ask someone and there's just silence, that's an answer.
That's an answer. Silence.
Yeah, because silence can mean a lot of things. Like, oh, they're mad at me.
Oh, that's true.
You know what I mean?
What's your name, boy? No, nothing. I can say nothing.
So there are many ways of demonstrating protest.
Right.
Is what she was trying to tell me.
Oh, there are, absolutely.
And so
that's true.
After that conversation, I was like, yeah, you know, they're walking out of school, which is not okay. But
especially if they're failing already, I mean, you need to be.
No, and so what I thought of as, oh, this is just their clever way of getting out of class, you know, was I also got to see the other side after talking with her,
right? Of
like, no, like, this might be the best way that they think they can demonstrate what they're protesting for.
That's true.
You know, so. I couldn't see both sides of things before talking to her, right? So I think it's the same thing with Colin,
right?
You know, like, we can ask questions all day, like, dude, is he protesting in the right way,
right?
And we might never have an answer,
right? But
I think it's important to analyze that. Him having his celebrity status,
right,
already gives him that platform to bring attention to anything.
That's true, and that's well deserved, because if you can differentiate yourself in a country with 330 million people,
right,
then that should be a platform. Some people say, "Oh, celebrity is not enough to be." Oh, it's plenty,
but celebrities do it all the time,
right? All the time, and they should.
Environmental
Who else to do
issues.
it? People that you don't know,
right?
Environmental
issues like
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Issues.
That's all he does.
Exactly, and people pay attention to that, right? So I think you know, we go back to this whole thing of like, well, what is he demanding? You know, what does he want to change? I think it was more so like he just wants to bring either attention to it or more attention to it,
right?
You know, it was never about making demands. It was never about changing anything directly.
Right.
It was, this is happening, and I'm using my celebrity status, just like all the other celebrities do, to bring attention to this topic that I feel is important and that I feel is right. You know, like, I'm standing for what I feel is right.
Right.
That, like, I feel like that's at the core of him kneeling.
Is bringing attention. All right. Well, that, I guess, but then let's not protest.
Well, see, now that brings up a whole other podcast of like,
because he's saying,
what is protest?
Right. Protest is
as well. What is protest? Not just in general, but as a celebrity.
Right.
You know, like, do you have to be the one at the rallies? You know, do you have to
pay
be the
for
one
other people to do
making?
I wouldn't. And I would say, I said, you know what? Listen, I'm not going to protest nothing because I'm not going to go there. But what I will do is I will support people who protest, and I'm going to use my celebrity to promote Tyrone Biggins, who is a no one in the sense of platform,
right?
Who's been doing for 20 years in Brooklyn, trying to get these demands, trying to get a seat at the table with the people who are able to make change. And so I'm going to pass this over to Tyrone Biggins. Tyrone, come over here.
Right.
You know, tell people who you are. Well, I'm so-and-so. So I'd wear a shirt that says Tyrone, and, you know, or whatever. Because that seems like we solved it. We figured out he's ill-informed on what a protest is. Like I would be if I said I'm sitting at the couch and it said I'm leaning against it, just to, you know, because that's, you're not sitting, you're leaning. That's why we have the word leaning and we have the word sit, because they're not the same. You want to say, oh, well, same difference. No, different. And if I said I'm watching a television show and then I'm looking at the TV monitor, but it's off, So he said, what are you doing? I'm watching a television program. No, you're not. Am I not sitting down in front of the TV? Yes, you are. Well, that's how you watch television. That is how you watch a television show. But you're not watching a television show. You started to, and you didn't. So that would be my enlightenment for him, because only because he's taken the game, right, to do it. Mm-hmm. So that really kind of breaks that down, I think. So we we maybe fixed it for him.
Nah.
This is fantastic. If everyone just listens to this podcast today, they'll go, oh, he just thought it was a protest. But it's not. Right. What he's doing, America, and this is important, what Colin Kaepernick is doing is he is merely bringing attention to a matter that already has people's attention at every level, but he wants it in, I guess, the way he wants the attention. But see, no, that also doesn't work. Because then, remember, like you said, he wants them to recognize, but okay, so it's not a protest. Now it's just, he just wants more people to be aware. But again, we have to go, but what does aware mean? Mm. And the only reason he has to define these terms is because he's the one initiating it. That's just, responsibility. I mean, no one's, other than people who don't like him. No one's knocking what he wants to do. We're just asking, can you tell us what you're trying to do? Because right now you just got everybody pissed off. And I don't think you want everybody pissed off. And I don't think you wanted yourself injured. And I don't think you wanted yourself out of the playoffs and out of the Super Bowl and out of the sport. So let us know what the heck you're talking about, dude, and we'll get on board.
Man.
And apparently he has a multi-billion-dollar corporation at his behest. That's a lot of money that could fund a lot of things to make a lot of demands happen. If only he knew what they were.
Well,
that's deep.
I think his former protest was showing support, like it as I.
But who was he showing support to?
I mean, the Black Lives Matter movement.
Okay, and they do have demands, right?
Yeah.
So he's supporting them.
Yeah.
This
is what I'm saying, like it wasn't about him specifically making demands.
Right.
It was about him standing for what he feels is right, which is standing up for oppressed people.
Right.
Right. And
kneeling for them.
Right. Bringing attention to police brutality.
Right.
And then giving support to agencies like Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Groups that do have demands.
Right.
Because that's what he can do as a celebrity.
Yes, he can.
So we go back to what we were saying before, which is like, is he the right person to be making those demands?
Right.
It's like, no. He absolutely not.
No.
He might not be well informed.
He's confused even what the word protest means. That is not the dude. Some injured quarterback.
But I feel like at the core was support for these groups who do have demands, and to bring attention to police brutality and standing up for what he feels is right.
Okay.
That's so we can talk all night about what is protest.
Right.
But
we're not what protest is, but how we could talk all night about how he thinks he's protesting.
Yeah.
But we have come to agreement. We now know he's not protesting. So there you go, people. We fixed it. We fixed Colin Kaepernick's issue with the people that are mad at him. He's not protesting. Y'all can go ahead and start wearing your Nikes again, because we're going to take a break, and when we get back, we're going to talk about the Nike ad itself. I'm excited to we're going to play it for you as well, because why not? All this hubbub, and I don't think anyone's seen the ad. And what it's going to be great for our listening audience is they're just going to hear it. See, so they won't be distracted by the images of Colin, because first of all, the ad isn't all him.
Right.
It was other white folks who are playing hodgepodge or skateboarding and parkour or something, injuring themselves. So they weren't even good at it. I just got it.
Yeah.
The white people hurting themselves because he hurts himself. That's his audience. People who want to play but get injured. So we're talking. I'm only throwing light, people. I'm throwing light. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the Nike ad, we'll listen to it and to discuss. It's time for the News Minute.
So Conor McGregor, the UFC fighter, very famous UFC fighter, he finds himself in deep trouble after attacking a bus back in April that was transporting UFC fighters. Apparently there was some beef between UFC fighters in that bus and some friends. So Conor, being the mad Irishman that he is, he went after the bus and the players inside. And one of those UFC fighters was Michael Chiesa. And he has sued against McGregor, and he's claiming negligent infliction of emotional distress, assault, battery, and a whole lot of other stuff because he was severely injured because when Conor attacked the bus, he threw a dolly through the window, which ended up hitting Michael and severely injured him, leaving him all bloodied. And TMZ has video footage of McGregor attacking the bus. So, and there are photographs of Michael's severe injuries. So there's really no way for Conor to fight his way out of this one. And he's set to return to the Octagon on October 6th, which, for those of you who don't know, the Octagon is where the UFC ring. That's what they call it, the Octagon, because it's shaped in an octagon. He's set to fight in October 6th. And this is probably the last thing he wants to worry about, a lawsuit that I don't see him winning. So he's probably going to have to end up owing a lot of money, which he has. But again, it's not something that he wants to worry about when he has a fight coming up. But, luck always runs out even for an Irish like Conor McGregor. So we'll see how that goes down.
This sucks losing that money. All right.
I mean, he made over $50 million fighting Floyd Mayweather.
$50 million, and Floyd's black,
and he lost.
And and he's white.
Conor, he's Irish.
So white.
Right.
So again, black people. See, I will also be schooling Erod on the podcast as well. Black people, we do not break down white people by segments. We don't do that. Oh man, but yeah, he would be playing a black guy. The black guy won.
Yeah,
and so he $50 million, more than half went away already. Yeah. So he poor thing only has $25 million, and now he's going to have a multi-million-dollar lawsuit on his hands.
Right.
Maybe you shouldn't be so mad, Irish. So now, as promised, we're going to discuss the Nike ad of Colin Kaepernick. Now that we know, this is brilliant. This is how we're going to promote this season, the series premiere podcast. That Colin's not protesting, so y'all can you can stop burning your Nikes and all that. So we're going to play the ad first, and then we're going to discuss the calm aftermath of it all. And Erod will make sure that I know what's going on and how this affects sports going forward. Because Nike is a big player in sports. They're not like your mom and pop shop.
Right.
They own all the black people who play sports. Who play sports. Let's take a listen.
If people say your dreams are crazy, if they laugh at what you think you can do, good. Stay that way. Because what non-believers fail to understand is that calling a dream crazy is not an insult. It's a compliment. Don't try to be the fastest runner in your school or the fastest in the world. Be the fastest ever. Don't picture yourself wearing OBJ's jersey. Picture OBJ wearing yours. Don't settle for homecoming queen or linebacker. Do both. Lose 120 pounds and become an Ironman after beating a brain tumor. Don't believe you have to be like anybody to be somebody. If you're born a refugee, don't let it stop you from playing soccer for the national team at age 16. Don't become the best basketball player on the planet. Be bigger than basketball. Believe in something even if it means sacrificing everything. When they talk about the greatest team in the history of the sport, make sure it's your team. If you have only one hand, don't just watch football, play it at the highest level. And if you're a girl from Compton, don't just become a tennis player. Become the greatest athlete ever. Yeah, that's more like it. So don't ask if your dreams are crazy. Ask if they're crazy enough.
Wow. Don't ask if my dreams are crazy. Are they crazy enough? Woo!
That's deep.
That is deep. Go ahead, Nike. If I had money, I'd buy some shoes right now.
I'm a Puma guy.
There you go. Yeah. Wait till you see Puma's ad. It's going to be great. They have Rodney on there. It's going to be great. Fantastic. So this lovely piece that lasted for about 2 minutes and 6 seconds, inspiring and motivating. The audience, I'm assuming, to this video would be new people, young people, millennials, who have their whole life in front of them. But it's a lot of sports tie-in, obviously, because it's Nike. Yeah. Why did this? And not him kneeling on what we now know isn't a protest, cause a reaction of people burning their shoes.
So,
and by the way, that's not protest, people. Yeah. But anyway.
That's right, yeah. I mean, because, again, when I go on Facebook, when I went on Facebook that day, that the ad was announced, a lot of my black friends were posting things like, they mad about this, but not about the school shootings that are happening every month. And when they say them, or they,
people who are burning their shoes.
White people. That's who they were talking about.
Right.
And I also have a lot of friends who are in the military on Facebook, and they were posting, they would post pictures of their socks. They would lift up their army pants and reveal a Nike sock.
Wow. So crazy.
And then I saw something funny that was someone, you know how hats have like who made the hat on the inside?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, someone took a Make America Great hat and they looked on the inside and they found out that it was made by Nike.
Awesome. Go ahead, Nike.
So they
Nike's
were like
helping make America great again, and they're supporting the Black Lives Matter.
No, so
doing both.
It was a photo of someone holding the hat and then showing the Nike symbol. And then the caption was, "Oh, what are y'all gonna do now?"
Whoa, snap!
And y'all is the white people,
right?
That's who they were talking about.
Yes.
So I feel like obviously it's not just white people who are burning and cutting up their Nike products,
right? And it was like 100 white folks.
Yeah.
So it's not indicative of all 330 million Americans in here. Most people are not burning their shoe because they saw a commercial.
Right.
Goodness gracious.
But
it was mainly because Colin's featured in the ad.
Yeah, because the same people who are mad about Colin kneeling are mad about him now being a sponsor for Nike.
Oh, he wasn't already.
No.
Wow.
So.
Oh, that's right.
So it's very because Nike obviously was like, oh, let's get Colin.
Right. Yeah.
He
needs the money.
No.
We got him. He's free.
I can't say I know how Nike HQ thinks,
right.
But I'm pretty sure they were like, someone must have said something like, Colin, he's big, well
he just
known.
Did it.
Yeah, well known. He just stood up for what he feels is right.
He kneeled for what was right.
He did what he wanted to do.
Right. Which is ironic because if you're on your knee, and then sitting down, you're not even using your shoes. So if people would take a break and just go, relax, this don't make no sense anyway. Don't worry, no one's making sense. The protest isn't a protest. Mm-hmm. The response protest isn't a protest, because you can't protest because there's no demand.
Right.
Because no one's giving a demand. Mm-hmm. But burning your own shoe would just be dumb, because you already gave them the money. Mm-hmm. And now you're out of shoes. Mm-hmm. And now you got to buy another shoe. All right. And it's not going to be Nike, but Nike secretly owns Puma. So they can get the money anyway, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. The outrage at him. Mm-hmm. And that's all it was.
Well, yeah, I feel like the outrage at him is kind of misdirected.
Right. Because he's not even protesting.
Yeah.
So if they would calm down, that's how I'm putting this link for this first show.
But see, here's the thing. It goes back to media, like what are we watching? What are we listening to?
Right.
If you're the kind of person who, whenever you log on to Facebook, all you see is Colin Kaepernick protesting again, once again singing kneeling,
right.
And that's all you see. You're going to be mad.
Yes.
About that.
Right.
And that's the perception that you're going to have about Colin, about kneeling, about the anthem, about anything that shows support for Colin. Right. You're going to be mad about it.
Absolutely.
But if you're the kind of person who logs on to Facebook and you see Colin stands up for what's right, Colin once again see kneeling, supportment of Black Lives Matter,
right,
you're going to be fully supportive of everything that Colin does, everything that Nike does.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Because you're already getting reinforced what's happened, the news.
Exactly. If you're a neutral like me,
right,
you have Black Lives Matter supporting friends, but you also have those very conservative Republican friends.
Right.
I grew up in a white neighborhood. I went to school in a white neighborhood, but I grew up in a minority neighborhood. So I have both worlds on my Facebook.
So he's the best, people.
So
this is what matters.
So I see, how people are angry and supportive at the same time.
Yes.
So it goes back to media. What are we watching? What are we reading? What are we listening to? So, but at the end of the day, people are going at each other's throats for
big time.
I wouldn't say no reason, but for the wrong reason.
Yeah, because they're mad at protesting, and we fixed it in protesting. Because you and I spoke with Erod a few nights ago before we. That's how we had the idea to do the show. Mm-hmm. Is we thought we concluded and that it was a protest, and then we were discussing what it meant.
Right.
And so to kneel means to stand up for the victims.
Yeah.
And to stand would mean you're a racist because you don't care about the black people. And so we were like, because I was just questioning, I'm like, so what the heck if he's kneeling for this, what does the standing do? It means it's racist, and people who kneel are nice, cool people, woke, And I awake every day, but so apparently you have to not go to bed so you can stay woke. So if you kneel, you're woke, and if you stand, you're racist, is what gets thrown out there, as you said, regarding what's on your feed. It'll be like, the people who stand, therefore, they don't care about the black lives, right? The very name Black Lives Matter implies that there are people who say, black lives don't matter. Get that sign down. And I would contend there's 3 people in the world who think black lives don't matter, and we killed one of them. So I thought that's what would happen. But that's what we thought was going on. And then the reaction would at least make sense because the vitriol, the amount of energy it takes to take your shoes and go light it up and to do whatever would mean, wow, you were just called racist, and you're not a racist, so you're pissed off. Well, you're right to be pissed off. Just because I stand up to mean I'm a racist. So, but here we found it's not even that. He's not even saying that. He is doing something which we don't know what he's doing, and called getting the word out. We have to have a name for that. Like, he's not kneeling. He's getting the word out. If we switched Words matter, people. If we switch in the media on the conservative, liberal, and in the middle news media to just the phrase Colin Kaepernick brings attention to, instead of protest, kneel, whatever. Get rid of protest, get rid of kneel, and replace protest, kneel with brings attention to, and then see what the reaction will be. And I don't think anybody's going to have nothing problem with it. Boom shakalaka, right? Because the sport begins with the national anthem playing, and to kneel at the national freaking anthem. Something that's national and it's an anthem. And he's mad at it. So, he's mad because it's not being lived out. Or, actually, that's the irony. He's mad because it is being lived out. Because in that, it promotes the Constitution, which says all men are innocent until proven guilty. Yeah. But we need to do things, people. And so don't worry. This is not a political show. We ain't going to have 8 episodes on the Black Lives Matter and all this. That'll be another podcast at another time when I care enough. This is about sports and how it just happened to intersect because the biggest sports merchandising people mix with the big sport in America, which is football. And, it's crazy. And it is crazy that the most popular sport in America is football, and the most common and popular sport in the world is football. Boom shakalaka. Ain't that deep?
I saw what you did there.
Nah, I did that. I transitioned good. So we're going to take a break because we done did it, people. We solved. Did we solve or did we solve? We solved.
I think what we did was we were able to analyze all of the narratives.
Yes.
Both right and left.
Exactly.
And come to a conclusion that no one is... that a lot of people are misinformed.
Yes, they are.
And
truly.
And I feel like even if you are informed about the whole thing, it takes an hour-long discussion like this to come to a mutual agreement that what is actually going on,
So we just led an example, people. We hope you all start your own discussions. If people would discuss instead of shouting, things get done. My mom always did that when I would cry and I would lose it as a kid. I would cry and I'm so mad. And she would say, calm. So she stopped saying calm down because that wouldn't work. I would just get more, like that. So she would start asking questions. So what is it? What's wrong? Hey, what's wrong? Tell me. Use your words. The remote. Okay, the remote. It doesn't work. Okay, so what do you have to do to get it to work? Is it the batteries? Yeah, it's the. And by asking more pointed questions, instead of being dramatic and falling apart based on it's not working, she got me to focus on, it needs batteries. Oh, and then let's give you the batteries and put it in. You gotta get your tears out of your eyes so you can see it enough clearly to put it in, and then put it, and now it works. So that's what we just did. Brief break. Why get after this?
So the 2018-2019 UEFA Champions League is well underway. This is football's ultimate club competition, and by football I'm talking about soccer. Football is what is known as around the world except for in America.
Right.
And this is a club competition where the best clubs in Europe battle out for European football's most coveted trophy. As always, the favorites to win this year are Europe's top 5 clubs: Real Madrid, FC Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Juventus, and Manchester City. Real Madrid have won the last 3 editions of the Champions League, but after selling arguably their best player, Cristiano Ronaldo, over the summer to Italian giants Juventus, it'll be interesting to see how this year plays out. You can watch the Champions League on TNT or BR Live for English language streaming, and Univision Deportes for Spanish language TV and streams. I suggest watching the Spanish live streams since they're much more energetic when they score, so go ahead.
That would be good saying it in Spanish. So it's true. That's not just a stereotype. That's true.
No.
Woo, wonderful. Or in Espanol.
No, because I grew up watching soccer in Spanish.
Right.
But there are certain games that are only broadcasted in English.
Oh.
And like if you watch English football,
Right.
The commentators are just like, oh, brilliant, he just scored.
Right.
And then that's it, you know. But if you watch Spanish, oh my God, they're
Conquistador! They get crazy.
Yeah.
I know one Spanish word there. Conquistador! I don't know what it means, though. That's the flip happening. So we've reached the end of our first premiere episode.
It was longer than expected.
Yeah, we thought, I said maybe an hour or so. This thing went for almost 3 hours.
I even think my hiccups went away.
Yeah, this is good. Long enough for the hiccups to subside. Right. This is exciting. And the future broadcast will be hiccup-free, people. God open. Because he had such good stuff to say, I didn't want it to be interrupted by that. But like Colin, you were injured, and you played through. You still played through.
It all comes full circle.
Full baby, boom shakala. Don't you know it? So if you're hearing our voice right now, that means you stayed for the entire duration. We want to thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, you did good. I mean, we had to be here because we're doing it. You know, I couldn't check out. All right, I'm done with that. Pause. Turn on Judge Judy.
I mean, even if you fast forwarded, man, I'm tired of them.
Man.
You know, like,
I'm getting rid of that protest part.
We still thank you.
Yes. And hopefully you came away with knowing more about football, more about how politics intersects with it all, and the impact we sure enough know sports has on the world when Nike stock goes up to $80-something a bear.
Yeah.
$80 a bear. The stock cost what the sneakers cost.
Yeah.
Bless God. So next week we'll be talking about U.S. soccer. That's our segue. Because we're saying with football. We're going from football to football.
All right.
This is a podcast for novices, it's for experts, for everyone in between. The question next week that he'll be answering for me is, why is America so bad at this soccer game? Like, we suck. Like, we actually just, we suck. I mean, we just do. I mean, that's what's going on there.
Didn't qualify for the World Cup.
No, not at all. And as always, people, I want you to know that the conversation doesn't stop now, even though it's been long. It continues at mjmeetsports.com. That's mjmeetsports.com. Also available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and now Spotify, and wherever else fine podcasts are found. In and out. We'll see you guys next week. Remember, football. Why does it suck when America does it?